Hello there, my friends. A little earlier on today, just in that gap there, I was in the old park of Chatsworth on a transcendentally beautiful and peaceful tour. I'm still actually floating from it. The air quality, because it's the old deer park, and there are ancient sections of woodland over there, and I feel transformed by the experience, actually, because the world is always moving. There's always stuff happening, and my pursuit of sorting myself out is actually, I realize, in large part because I want to be able to move peacefully through the world, but I also want to be able to take advantage of particular opportunities, because there's opportunity and beauty and abundance all around us. But as you get older, you have to become more and more proactive in actually getting yourself into these things. For the first, couple of decades of our lives, things are highly prescribed and organized, and whatever your thinking is on why that might be, wanting to be manipulated, indoctrinated, blah, blah, all this stuff, that's a discussion for another time. But it's all very formulaic, it's designed and manufactured. And once you actually step out for yourself, you have to be proactive. You have to make decisions, and you have to follow the beat of your own heart. And that can actually be quite difficult. It can be quite difficult, and it can be nerve-wracking. And, I had to spend a reasonable amount of money on that tour, and there are other tours I want to do. But I realised that, obviously, holding on to material wealth can often be at the expense of actually having experiential wealth, the fantastic experiences that you do once, but actually stick with you for a really, really long time. And just being able to soak in the atmosphere of being in that old part of the park, and just seeing how majestically it all grows, and actually just how freely it's all, trees that once were one and at various points have split off, but they've kept on growing. They've literally rooted themselves down into the ground, and it's wonderful to actually be part of that, to witness it and understand that we're not outside of nature. I think that's where a lot of our problems actually stem from, is that there were quite a few people on this tour, and of course they're all climate catastrophists, and climate change is ruining this, and capitalism's ruining that, and it's all, they've all been indoctrinated into this narrow way of thinking, not realizing that by being capitalist and charging large sums of money for these tours, that they're actually keeping the place going. It's a performative contradiction in a lot of it, but you accept that that's part of these experiences. But the amazing thing is that all the people that want to pursue nature and make sure that it lasts posit themselves outside of nature, and we're not. We're made of the same elements, and we're all actually in concord with each other, but we intellectualize our way out of our natures. I realize I've done that a lot, but it was a really beautiful experience just to be in surroundings that over the last few hundred years very, very few people have actually been in. And by spending a lump sum amount of money in one go that felt a little bit bit frightening, because there's still a lot of work I have to do on valuing myself and allowing myself to do these things, you know, it's all practice, to get more decisive. By actually doing it, I've got a memory that will last me for the rest of my life, and at the end of it, everybody was driven back to the main part of the estate, and I actually walked back along a path with the guy that had been showing us around, and so got an even more private tour. And honestly, it was walking through heaven. It was just walking through absolute heaven. It really was. And got back to the house, walked through the gardens as I'm doing now. Being part of things, immersing yourself in things, being curious, but at the same time being peaceful in the flow of it all. And that's how we're meant to live. And it doesn't mean you don't get things done. Quite the reverse. Fantastic ideas come to you by putting yourself out there and doing these things that you think, oh, I don't need to do that, I'll do something else, something a bit cheaper, something a little less exciting. Do the most exciting thing. Go the most exciting places that you can. Soak in the atmosphere of life. I'm going to show you this beautiful pond. And make sure that you're living as large as you can, as vibrantly as you can, as joyfully as you can, because the world is moving and you have a choice of whether you're part of that or not. And of course, my friends, I recommend wholeheartedly being part of it.